Okay, hello everybody. This is John O'Landon, and we are just about to get started. We're going to wait for about a minute or two just to let some other folks sign on because, we don't want to just get going because, a few people always show up. Takes a couple minutes, so we'll get going real soon, and I'm really excited to be have you all joining us, everyone that's come in so far. So we're going to be talking about how to use Facebook ads to increase enrollment. It's going to be, it's going to be a case study. We're going to talk about some general topics about enrollment marketing, but also going to show you some information based off, an actual Montessori enrollment campaign that we've run. We run a lot of these for different clients, and we've learned a lot of things. You'll be able to take this information and go apply it to your own campaigns or hand it off to, maybe a parent volunteer that you have or anything like that that knows how to use Facebook ads. Just really important information, things that you might not be obvious. um, we've been doing this for a while, and we've learned a lot over the time. Things that have surprised us about learning how to engage with prospective parents. So there's a few different components that we're going to dig into. Number one, it's just there's what should the ad say, the type of copywriting and the presentation, how you want to go about figuring out that copywriting. Also, there's a few different components to campaigns that that you have to work on and continue to test over time. So there's the design of the ads. There's also the targeting. That's just as important as the ad design. Sometimes it's even more important, depending on your area or the little demographic changes for where you're located, and there's also the actual web pages that people engage with after they click on your ad. So some more folks are joining us. We're going to just wait probably about another minute just to see if any other stragglers join us before we launch this. Again, I'm really excited to have you all here. It's a real honor to have you guys joining us. If you could go into the chat box on the right side and let us know where you're joining us from. It's always fun to see the different regions. We get people from all across the U.S. and Canada, from in the UK sometimes, and so please do come in, say hi. There's a chat box on the right side of the screen. Let us know. Where you're from. I'm also going to ask you some other questions throughout the presentation. So definitely don't be shy. Use the chat box, and please know that you can ask questions anytime. And I'll do my best to address them as they come in. But what I'm also going to make sure there's some time at the end for questions too. So don't feel like you have to if you do ask a question and I don't answer it, please don't think I'm ignoring you. Sometimes it's hard to do the presentation and catch all the questions, and definitely stick around for the questions at the end too. And then that'll be probably the best time to ask questions as well, just because I'll be focused on answering any questions. So we've got Sarah from McLean, Virginia. We've got Christy from Shreveport, Los Angeles, and we've got Sarah from Cranberry, Pennsylvania. Any more folks, feel free to come say hi. Tell us, anyone that's joined us in the last little bit. There's that chat box on the right side. Don't be shy. Tell us where you're from. And without further ado, I'm gonna kick off the presentation. So if you take a look at this picture, just consider if this looks familiar, if you can relate to it at all. We've got paper, calendar, and binders, and some piles of money, and we've also got. Oh, sorry, Christy. I said Los Angeles. You're in Louisiana. Thank you for correcting me. Shreveport, Louisiana is where Christy's from. We've got Tara Frank now from Indianapolis, Indiana. Indy. I go to Indy every August, and I love that city. So take a look at this picture. There's all these things going on, binders, binders there and calendars and sticky notes and piles of money, but there's this computer there sitting beside her that could actually manage all the same types of tasks, and with the right software and the right knowledge of how to use it well, it could really do everything in the fraction of the time and the hassle, especially if you're using software that can automate processes, so that you can remove multiple steps of the sort of the busy work of the admissions process, which can be really time consuming, especially when you're handling a lot of paper. Um, so I want to say you're in the right place if you wish that relying of word of mouth marketing referrals was enough anymore, but you know that it's not. We've moved past that. It still does generally for most schools um, result in the majority of their enrollment, but a lot of schools are finding that it's just not enough anymore to get to capacity or hit the actual enrollment goals that the school needs to operate properly. And and when you want to fill your school to capacity, and you have a waiting list that's always filling up. So that's another goal that you could have, and you're in the right place if that's your goal, and you'd like to spend more time on higher value tasks like face-to-face conversations with parents and children. And I'll put staff in there as well, teachers and other staff, and you need to create some margin in your day to be able to do that. And you're in the right place if you find the busy work, the many steps it takes to manage enrollment and other processes pull you away from maybe those higher value tasks that you would like to get to. I also want to strongly encourage you to stay for the full 60 minutes of the presentation. Again, the last part, the last 10 or 15 minutes will be dedicated to questions, but because we're going to be reviewing a variety of solutions to the most common challenges of enrollment marketing, I'm also going to be telling you how you can download a free ebook that's titled How to Get Started with Facebook Ads. But you do have to stick around to the end to learn how to get that. So let's do a quick poll. I want to hear from everyone in the audience today. What are you currently doing to grow your enrollment? So go to that chat box on the right side. Tell us what your school does right now to increase the enrollment, and not only increase the enrollment, but to increase the enrollment of families that are really the best fit for your school. So this can take a minute here. Find that chat box on the right side. Take you a second to think about your enrollment strategies. So we'll give you a moment. So Sarah says she does local magazine paper ads. Right on. I'd also love to hear how much you're spending on enrollment. What is your marketing budget for your school? Christy says she's got open houses and social media marketing. So Christy, feel free to be a little more specific with social media marketing, because it's a big bucket of many different channels and platforms and strategies. So Christy has a minimal marketing budget. Okay, not all that unheard of. Sandra's marketing budget is around 6,000. It'd be really neat to also hear is how many enrollment, like what's the enrollment goal, Sandra, that connects to that $6,000? What are your expectations? What do you expect to achieve with enrollment by spending $6,000? So Joanna does mommy blogs. Ooh, I love that. Mommy blogs. If you can tap into that market, what a smart thing to do. Social media, local realtors. Oh, okay, local realtors. That's very smart too. We got some good guerrilla tactics going on here. Direct mail and AdWords. All right. Christy's doing Facebook and Instagram. And Christy, if I could ask you, are you doing Facebook posts in your page, or are you running ads, or are you doing both? Sarah says she does open houses, social media, Twitter, blogging. Awesome. Very good. Local magazines. So Sandra says 50% are enrollment from ads currently. Yeah, Sandra, and if you could, and feel free not to share if you don't want to or if you don't have the information, but I'd love to know specifically the number of enrollment you hope to achieve by spending $6,000. I'm asking this question also because it's kind of prepping something I'm going to talk about a little later, by the way, but it will help add color to that if you have that information. So if you're spending $6,000, how many enrollments do you expect to get? And that'll give us a good sense as how much you expect to pay or invest to achieve each specific enrollment. So if it's 10, if you need to get 10 new enrollments filled, you're putting $6,000 to that. Obviously, it's $600. Sorry, if you're putting $6,000 to that, then we're talking $600 cost of acquisition per new student. That's what you want, but don't get it. Okay, so let's move on. We'll get into this stuff, and thank you very much for everybody for sharing. That really helps sort of tailor this presentation to the folks that are here. Um, okay, so why are we talking about this? What's the problem? So today, private schools really need to be more competitive, and and competitive is sometimes the word we don't want to use. We don't want to think of other schools as competition, but I'm a business guy, and I'm going to be presenting this from a very sort of business standpoint. So if I come off of a little bit too Trumpian, I'll apologize up front. But yeah, I wanna really focus on the Montessori as a business. And if you're a nonprofit, that's still really the same thing. So whether you're generating profit as a private school or you're just looking to generate a better net margin, I think in both cases, everybody's just reinvesting it back into the school. So it's all for the same purpose, to educate more kids. Um, so what's happening in the market is the actual increase of the size of the market. Um, so if the graph on the left is talking about the overall market size in regards to tuition dollars in the U.S. But what's actually happened as a bigger scale? It's actually another graph I don't have here, but the market size has increased by 25% in the last 25 years. So at the same time, US private school enrollment rates have been going down, and they're forecasted to go down more. And that's a direct result of the competition that's increasing. Today, schools are noticing that we've got, a lot more competition. And what used to work essentially to fill this, keep the school full, meaning just having a great school and the word of mouth um, did the job to keep the school full with a good wait list. Over the last 10 years or so, a lot of schools that we talk to really across the board are having this challenge now that that doesn't work anymore. And what used to just work sort of on its own, now meaning keeping the school full, is now becoming a challenge. And the other layer of challenge on top of that is that the marketing strategies that your prospective parents respond to are changing. Print advertising and the sort of um, local opportunities are less and less impactful, because when people want to find something, even in their neighborhood or down the street, where do they go today? They go straight to their phone and they look up in Google, or they see ads. I mean, the demographic that you're targeting is on Facebook quite a lot. So if you want to advertise to these people, you really have to think about the places where they're engaging content and where they're going to find things, and that's predominantly in digital strategies now. Less and less people get magazines and newspapers, and they're reading mostly online today. So, especially with the demographic of the parents that you're looking to engage. So, unfortunately, the folks that have been running the schools haven't had this kind of training so much in the education sector, especially in the Montessori world. Um, Wonderful educators, serious depth of wisdom, but understanding how to use the new marketing strategies, not just the technical side, but also strategically. I mean, it's a totally different ballgame. So it's a real gap in the industry. So, and the result is enrollment numbers are decreasing, and it's just more challenging. Um, so so what we want to do is, as a first step, when you want to actually run a very highly productive Facebook campaign, what you want to do is, first of all, you want to identify the families in your school right now that are the ideal fit. You want to pick out those parents that are the ones it's essentially like to clone, and you want to survey them, and you want to understand exactly how they would phrase the values that they get, the value that they get, that their child and their family gain from having their children enrolled in your school. And the reason why this is so important is because the predominant gap in enrollment that people are experiencing, um, the enrollment that you don't have to work for, the ones that are built-in Montessori parents, the ones that are just going to find you anyways, the ones that are going to come from word of mouth referrals, those aren't the people you need to market to. You don't need to be marketing to people that know what Montessori is, because they're going to find you. If you're a Montessori school and they know that they want Montessori, guess what? You're going to hear from them. They're going to find you online. They're going to show up at your school. But that's not doing the job of filling up your school anymore, generally speaking. So what you do need to find are the parents that are looking for Montessori and are the right fit culturally, with philosophically, demographically. Like, ideally, you want parents that can pay the full tuition, and those parents might not know that it's Montessori that they're looking for, but they are looking for a Montessori, and those are the parents you have to figure out how to speak to and how to pull in. The way you do that is you talk to the parents that you have that are raging fans of your school and are the best parents, and you love them, and you want to understand how they would naturally talk about your school and how much they love it and the kind of words they use and the phrases they would use. And you want to use that in your advertising. You don't want to focus your advertising at this stage of engaging prospective parents on teaching people about Montessori. You want to just let them know that there's this place that offers the values that they're looking for. And the best way to do that, so that they receive it the easiest and the most simplest way, is that it's translated into words that they would use, not necessarily the Montessori lingo, or the type of words or concepts that parents who have been at your school and gone through your parent education, you don't want to use those types of phrases, because they can't unwrap that. What you want to do is, because you want them to see an ad and immediately uh, respond to a value proposition that they understand, that's in their current language, and that's how you want to write your ads and design your ads, and that's how you want to write really your whole website. All of your marketing material should be put into that language. And then, when the parents are in your school, enrolled, going through their parent education system, you want that's when basically you're training them to, and teaching them the concepts. You want to wait at least until you're face to face with them in your school before you get into that stuff. So, big question. So, as you noticed, I was asking Sandra here, how much are you spending per enrollment? And the way you get to that understanding is to first know, how much do you spend per inquiry? And this is the metric when you're running an enrollment campaign that that you can track really easily if you know how to set up the technology to do so. A platform like Facebook makes it incredibly easy to know, for every dollar you're putting into the platform, how many inquiries are you getting out of it? So, um, so these are two different ads that we ran in a campaign, and we can see that one ad was generating inquiries for $6.50. That's pretty good. And then the other one was generating inquiries for $11.65. Both of those are really good, because if you consider an enrollment achieve an enrollment, it generally takes about 4 or 5 inquiries before as a ratio from the stage of inquiry to the stage of enrollment. So let's say a student comes in, let's say your average tuition is about $10,000 a year, which I would say is pretty average across, the continent. We see higher and lower, but average is about $10,000 a year. So if we just make these numbers a little more round, if it's costing you to $10 per enrollment, then and it takes $10 per inquiry, and it takes 4 inquiries to get an enrollment, then it costs you $40 to achieve an inquiry. So if you're going to spend $40 to achieve an enrollment, that enrollment brings in $10,000 in the first year, and generally speaking, students stay for a few different years depending on how long your programming is. An average revenue value of a student averages around $60,000. So $40 to achieve, a lifetime value of an enrollment of 60,000. That's a wonderful result. But you want to know, but everyone's got, there's a lot of expenses, of course, and there's not, Montessori schools are not operating with the highest of profit margins. So, I mean, teachers are expensive, building is expensive, new programming, all this stuff costs a lot of money. So you want to be as very efficient with your advertising dollars. And if you know exactly how much it costs you to achieve an inquiry and how much it costs you to achieve an enrollment, then you can plan exactly, you can know when you're creating your marketing budget exactly how much you need to achieve your enrollment goal. So hey, you can look up, you've got this many students graduating, you've got a couple of students maybe that are moving out of the area, and we're going to have 10 open positions. Well, we know that according to our tracking, it costs us $40 to achieve an enrollment. Bang, that's $400 that I need to invest in marketing. I put that into the system, and then I result in 10 new enrollments. So it should be that easy, but to create that type of tracking, that system does take some technical knowledge. You don't have to be a programmer, but you do need to know how to set up the campaign the right way. And you need to know how to integrate it with the website the right way so that you can get that tracking, but once it's set up, it works on its own. That's what's so beautiful about these things. So I'll move on, but I'll say that, you really want to be able to identify exactly how much it costs you to achieve inquiries and enrollments. And that's why I was asking Sandra that question, because she identified $6,000. Well, good. That's good that you know your marketing budget, but why is it $6,000 is the question. Is it based off historical knowledge of knowing how much it costs to achieve an enrollment? That's what you want to get to. That's definitely the goal. That's a solid marketing strategy at that point. Additionally, your website can be found by, so search engine optimization. I'm not going to dive too much into this, but you want to be obviously found by search engines, by people doing searches online. And so your website is able to, if you can track that properly as well, and track the flow of people doing a search, finding your website, getting into your enrollment strategy, and you can segment them. If you have the opportunity to improve that, then you're going to know how you can actually even decrease the cost per enrollment on average. So that's another thing you want to be tracking in your system. I will say, by the way, it seems like a lot of people that we talk to understand, in general, the concept of search engine marketing, meaning they understand that they want to be found when people do searches on Google. But what they don't necessarily understand, or what they haven't really invested into, is doing the research to know if that strategy actually matters to them. Because what I'll tell you is, we do this research for a lot of our clients. What we find in general is that for most schools, search engine marketing is actually irrelevant. Meaning doing search engine optimization. The reason being is because one of our clients asked us to improve their search engine rankings, our first step is to identify are there people in your area actually performing searches for keywords that are relevant to your school? Oftentimes, we spend a lot of time doing this audit. We have tools where we go and we can analyze search traffic according to region, according to keyword search. A lot of times, there is actually very, very little search volume. So what I mean is, if we were to use your website as an analogy, let's go to like more old school marketing tactics. So before websites were around, people did things like print and billboard advertising. So when you were gonna go pay for a billboard advertisement, um, you obviously want to have your billboard on a street where people are driving. It would be of no value to put your billboard about your school on a street where nobody drives on. This, of course, is painfully obvious. Well, the same thing goes for search engine marketing. Search engine marketing is like, as an analogy, people searching for keywords that relate to your school is like people driving on streets that where you would have your billboard. So if there aren't a lot of searches happening, sometimes we literally find almost zero searches, and we dig all these. We try so many different keyword combinations, and we just find that like there's just no real search volume for people in that area, because Google will tell you like where these searches are actually originating from. And sometimes we find that, we could do search engine optimization for you, but we don't want you to do that for you because it's going to actually yield no results. You're not going to get any traffic from new prospective families because no one's actually searching for it online. And therefore, if we were to sell that to that customer, then it would be like selling snake oil. So, but what we do find is consistently, Facebook is always consistently a strategy that is very successful for schools. And it's because Facebook advertising is very different than Google advertising, because Facebook is predominantly the largest demographic on Facebook is women between the age of 25 and 44. Not only are they the largest demographic, but they're also the most engaged. And that's exactly the demographic you're looking to engage with enrollment marketing strategies. Now, I just want to say, I don't have a dog in this fight, right? I get no revenue. I get no kickback from Facebook for saying that. I'm just telling you what we've seen work consistently is Facebook. And generally, when we compare the results, Facebook always performs better than Google. Although for some schools, Google can be very good. It depends. That's the only thing. Facebook is consistently good. Google, it depends, and you need to make sure that the proper research is done. So guys, please, forewarning, if somebody comes to you and tells you, you definitely have to advertise on Google, well, if they're telling you that without doing the research first or knowing, definitely ask them if they've done the research and to show it to you. And if they can't, steer clear from those folks, because there's a lot of folks that sell Google advertising and they're good at selling it, and they're good at selling something that you don't necessarily understand all the sort of angles on it. So always ask somebody that's selling you advertising strategies to show that they can prove to you that that strategy and that platform as a first point is relevant to your school, and that's different from area to area. So you can't just say one thing for everybody. It's okay. So moving on, it's just a really important point I want to make out to people. So let's look into this case study here. This is Rising Scholar Montessori. So this is a campaign over basically a 30-day period. And so this graph, this squiggly line graph, what it's showing you is the number of conversions. So in that month, they got 30 conversions. Now, to translate what conversion means here is somebody clicked on an ad, a Facebook ad that we designed for them, and then they went to a web page which we're going to call a landing page. And then they filled out a tour request form. They gave their contact information and requested to book a tour for that school. So that's a really valuable inquiry. That's somebody that saw an ad about the school, about the values that the school offers parents and families, and of course children. And then they went to a web page that talks more about the school and gives that prospective parent a path towards booking a tour. They took the action to type in their personal contact information. So they're showing a lot of trust, a lot of interest, high level of interest. So this is what we call a very qualified lead, somebody that's taken a lot of action, a lot of labor, and given personal information. So when doing that online, when somebody will take those actions online, you're looking at somebody that's pretty interested. That's definitely a good, highly qualified, very high value lead, somebody definitely worth taking the time to at least give a call to and maybe qualify a little bit further. So, so with this campaign, we were generating a cost per conversion. So again, a cost per tour request of $9.86. And that is a very, very good result. And that's on average. So what we do is we run many, many different ads. We'll run up to 50 different ads at a time. Each one has a different headline and a different video in the ad and different copywriting, different call to action. We're testing different value propositions to see which ones get the more engagement. And ultimately, the average came out to $9.86 per inquiry. So, and once these things work, they work. So you take the best ad and the best landing page. This also comes into trying different targeting methods, and I'll break all this stuff down for you now. So targeting. So some of this stuff is going to probably seem painfully obvious. I've already talked about some of it, but number one, you want to be targeting women, because what we find is that about as a ratio, 95% of the ads are being engaged by women over men. So that's one. And also the age demographic you want to target is between 25 and 44. As you can see here, if you look at clicks, that means people that clicked on the ad, there was over 300 clicks occurred in that age bracket, and very few outside of that. So it's quite a quite a clear win on the age bracket here. So going forward, guys, when you run your ads, make sure, because you can do this in Facebook, you can really target down as you can get quote unquote hyper targeted. It doesn't make sense to show your ads to people that aren't within this age bracket, because if they do click on it, you're spending money on those clicks, and why not invest that money into the age bracket that's more likely to enroll their child. The next thing you want to look at is interests. So I'm going to give this one a little bit of a background, because these percentages here might seem really low. Like when you see 3.303%, it's like, well, that doesn't seem so amazing. But so what this is a metric called click-through rate. So the amount of times the ad was shown on the screen to the amount of times somebody clicked on it. So just to put this into context, if you have a click-through rate of 1% and above, that's doing well. That's where good starts, 1% and above. Now, these are the interests we were targeting when we run the ads, when we're trying to connect with the right parents, right at the right stage, that have the right interests. We've got, if you notice, Montessori education and Maria Montessori is in the mix, but they're not the highest. The one that's actually performing incredibly well is early childhood education. So again, this interest targeting doesn't work on its own. It's a combination of targeting, first of all, the ad design. Does it say the right thing? Is it speaking? Is it offering the right value propositions to the people? And then you can target their gender, their age. You can target on Facebook even if they have children, and children of what ages. So so make sure if you are going to set up some ads, make sure you use these interests, because across the board they get the highest engagement for finding the right parents for your school. Now what I'm going to show you is I want to let you guys know that the reason why I have this slide here, I'm going to actually show something that might even make us look bad for a second, but I want you to understand what process you have to go through to find and optimize and get to make the campaign work really, really well. So this is probably the biggest reason, or the most important reason why uh, digital advertising is so much better than print advertising. Okay, so check this out. When we first launched this campaign, the first run got only 6 tour signups, and that was at an average cost of $42 per signup. Now, as we already shown you, we were getting to about a $10 per signup average, but we didn't start there. We got there after a lot of work. So we, $42 is not that great. We knew we could do better. So what we did is we took a look at all the different variations of the ads, and we wanted to test it further. We wanted to, take the parts that are working, make some other variations of those. And so what happened was our second run of the campaign, what we did is we went the wrong direction. We actually tried to improve it, and we made it worse. We actually got 0 conversions. So we knew we went the wrong direction. And oftentimes, I want you guys to know, if your campaign fails out of the gate, that does not mean that it's not working. It means that you have to test more. So we actually went the wrong direction, but now by doing so, and oftentimes, you actually have to break something to understand how to make it better. And that's exactly what happens. It's the same thing with marketing. So you need a platform that allows you to track, test different elements, break it, and then that by breaking it, you can clearly see what's not working. That allows you to come back. So in campaign number 3, that allowed us to return to what was working okay on the first campaign, and then we knew what wasn't working on the second campaign, and then we knew exactly how to improve the campaign to make it run much, much better. And now we got 33 conversions, 33 signups in the same time period for about $10 each. That's how this goes. And I talk to a lot of people, and they say, they tried a Facebook ad, it didn't get anywhere. Well, I mean, so that doesn't mean it wasn't good or you couldn't have got there by trying other things. But at the same time, to be able to test, and you have to be tracking. So you do have to have it connected the right way with the tracking code and stuff like that on your website, so that you can actually confirm what is or isn't working. And you need a platform. And you have to understand what you're looking at, of course, with the different metrics. But it's very, very possible. And so the reason why I say this is an example of why digital advertising is so much better than print advertising is because you can track this stuff on a day-to-day basis, and you can make changes on the fly whenever you want. When you run a print ad, you have somebody design the ad, and you stick it in a paper, and you hope for the best. And by the way, you pay a lot of money up front. What's great about Facebook is you're paying only you set a daily budget, and you can say, I only want to spend $5 a day or $20 a day. And so if you can see, you run it for, let's say, a week, and it's not working, you can stop it, make a change, and start it again. You can stop it and start it as many times and whenever you want, make whatever changes you want, so that your ability to test and track and hone this campaign, and again, you're going to be testing the design of the ad, the placement of the ad, its targeting. You're also testing the landing page that the ad is going to, because it's connected to the Facebook through the tracking pixel, and that's really key. You cannot determine the performance of any ad that you run if you're not tracking at the point of the goal, which is after they hit the page and then sign up for the tour. That's the goal that you need to track. So you got to know how to implement that on the web page. Once you've got that, you can actually very quickly, it's very, very easy in a matter of days sometimes to improve the performance of a campaign by 400 or 500%, and sometimes even more, if you know what to track and what to test. Okay, so this particular campaign, this was the result. So guys, take note. Look at the wording. look at how things are phrased. This copywriting came out of, again, surveying the parents, understanding what value they're looking for, and value they were getting from that school. Again, we surveyed parents of that school that the school told us were, you know, the awesome parents, and we created this ad based off their feedback, and this was a result. The campaign I just showed you. Again, we had about 50 versions of the ad, and we had about 5 versions of that landing page. This is the web page we're going to call the landing page. And very important point: a landing page is really just a web page, but it's a web page with very specific design rules. So something I want to point out, because you should not, if you're going to invest in an ad, you should not just send them to your homepage on your website. You need to create a specific web page for every campaign that you run, because if you want to be able to track the performance of the campaign, you want to make sure that there's only one goal on that page. There's only one thing for that person that clicked on the ad. When they come to the page, there should be only one action they can take that will allow you to really track the performance of that campaign. The action here is to fill out the form to request a tour. Now, this page scrolls and there's a whole bunch of information on there. Something you want to keep in mind is you want a good landing page design. You want to have just enough information, just the right amount of information. So one thing I'll just let you know is that if you don't have enough information, what we find is that if you don't have some program information on that page, you'll get a lower rate of inquiries. So you want to make sure that you're speaking to the same value propositions that the people saw in the ad. That way there's a high relevance. You want to have a high relevancy. That'll help the ad perform. It'll help the campaign perform better. So whatever ad, you're going to test multiple ads, right? And you're going to test different value propositions. Whatever ads you find perform the best, obviously you're going to keep running those ads, stop running the ones that don't perform as well. And then once you have that information and you understand, you want to try to use the same language on the ad and then place that onto the landing page as well. There's a lot of things to test on the landing page. Could be the value proposition. You want to make sure it's matching up with the ad that's getting the best engagement. Where the button is, you can get into, the number one thing is the value proposition. What are you promoting, and why are you basically suggesting the parent should come learn about the school? Secondly, then you get into design elements. Where is the button placed? Where is the form placed? Where is the additional program information? Generally speaking, what we put the programming information lower on the page, and we find that that's resulted in the highest ratios of signups. Okay, now after that point, once they fill out that inquiry form, at that point, what you want to make sure, you want to try to have a system that basically works like a self-driving car. This is what we call workflow automation. And so now there's a reason for this, and the reason is because, as I said at the very beginning, the admissions process is incredibly time consuming. So if you can make it, number one, digital, and if you can automate the many steps that go in between every stage of the admissions process. Of course, you can't automate the in-person interactions, but reminders about filling out an application form, or to show up for a tour, or to show up for an observation, and all these different things that have to happen. There's all these kind of like, reminders and notifications and little tasks, things like that. The busy work is what I call it. Those things can easily be automated by a good software platform. And there's a lot of options out there for this. And so I highly suggest taking the time either to learn how to use them, or, again, you could have a parent volunteer that's like really tech savvy and can build marketing automation systems for you. You want to build these things because, man, the admissions process could be so busy, and also if it's not well set up, it's really easy for great prospective parents to fall through the cracks, and then they end up at another school when they would have been a perfect match for your school, but for some reason, the other school, that they were checking out responded to them faster, and they came in, and maybe they didn't even get to your school for a tour, or so there's so many. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through this example here. Now, we build these systems custom for all of our clients because everyone's got a slightly different process. I'll walk through this one. This is just in a sort of a high level example of what you can have. So again, at the top, they click on the Facebook ad, or maybe they come from a Google search if Google works for you in your area. They come to that landing page and they fill out the inquiry form, and then boom, immediately. So if you notice, the right lane here is the school office, the left lane is the parent. So after they fill out the inquiry form, the admissions director gets a notification, and there's a record created in a database automatically. At that point, the parent gets what we call a drip sequence of emails. It could be spread out over days or weeks or months, however, whatever makes sense for you. But these are pre-written emails, and they're going to be customized to that parent because they're giving you their name. So it'll say, "Hi, Susan," and it can add in their child's name and things like that. And it can basically keep on engaging that parent over time. So let's say they come and they fill out the inquiry form, and you haven't had a chance to call them yet to book them in for a tour. Well, the system could actually do it automatically because every email that goes out also has a call to action to go to the automated tour booking calendar. And so the parent selects a time that you've pre-set up. Maybe you do tours every Tuesday between 11 and 1, or every Tuesday and Thursday or whatever. So those are the dates that they can select. And then, they come in for a tour, they get automated reminders to show up. You find when you have a system that's automatically reminding parents, they actually like that a lot. You can get reminders. Also, it can allow them to cancel. So rather than just not showing up, they could click cancel. You're notified. Your calendar becomes free. A different parent can book that slot, and you're not sitting around waiting for a parent that doesn't show up. And then also, let's say they come in for the tour and they're amazing and you love them, and you want them to fill out the application form. So, the system sends them the application form, which is a digital form to fill out. Let's say a week goes by and they haven't filled out the application form. Well, then the system can actually send you a notification saying, "Hey, Susan, came in for a tour, was approved for the application form, hasn't filled it out yet. Give her a call." So then that informs you. Not only does it show you exactly where every parent is at what stage of your process, but it also reminds you when you need to take action. So you can really rest assured that no one's going to fall through the cracks, no matter how busy you get, no matter how many teachers get sick and you're filling in the classroom, and there's 5 fires to put out, and you just can't get back to your inquiry list. The system's going to remind you of everyone that you need to follow up with, and then so on. And so, like, that's the point of a good digital automation system, workflow automation. So those things like reminders and tour bookings, all this stuff can be completely automated. And of course, this types of systems, especially here at Hubbly, they work for not just people that come from the ads, but anybody that walks in, you can enter them into the same process, or they call, or you get a referral. So you want to have a good automated workflow to make that system, and then when all those hundreds of little steps are automated, that frees you up to do other things. So maybe be in the classroom, or maybe work on your fundraising campaign, talk to donors because you've got an extra 2 hours in your day, because you don't have to manage these things manually and write them in, and manually send reminders and all that stuff. So you want to be using, so this is just an example of a digital form. Digital forms are a big preference, especially for the demographic of your prospective parents. They can often pre-populate a lot of the data because they filled it in earlier from the inquiry form, and it can kind of show the parents where they are in the process. and and then when digital forms are filled out, there's no paperwork to have to go through, and you don't have to like type things from paper into another digital system. It's automatically put into a digital system. And you know, certainly with Hubly and other tools, one system can automatically send information to another system that you might use. You don't have to do these things manual. You want these things to be automated. So they just have to be set up the right way. And then when I was talking about a a tour scheduling system, this is an example of the way Hubly works. They select the day that they want to come in, and the different hour slots show up. And then when they select it, it sends them a confirmation and a reminder, informs you, puts it on your calendar, things like that. And again, when they cancel, again, the notifications go out to you, so it automatically updates in your calendar. And what we're looking at here is the actual inquiry list from that campaign I was showing you from Rising Scholar Montessori. And I had to blur out their personal information, of course. But so this is this is what you ultimately want. So you want everything to come into one centralized database that's really simple to see very quickly. What stage is every parent at? And you can see tour not booked, tour booked, etc. And you can click on these to sort them. It works very much like a spreadsheet, but it's a spreadsheet that you didn't have to manually update or again type in from a bunch of paper forms. You want these updates to work automatically. And I'm just going to do a quick check because I've been talking straight for a long time. And number one, are there any questions? Go to that chat box on the right. And number two, are you hearing me? Because sometimes I can go for 10 minutes and then I find out that the audio cut out for some reason. So I just want to make sure that you guys are actually hearing me. So if you folks could just give me a little indication that you are hearing me, and let me know if you have any questions. If it's a good time, I'll take a break and answer a question. Oh, thank you, Christy. You are hearing me. Good. I hope I'm not boring you too much. I'm trying to cram in a lot of information. So thank you for that. Okay, so I'll go on. But essentially here, the way a good automation system works is that you can basically just come in here. So again, this is the example at Hubly. Let's say this parent called in and you booked it. You went into the system and booked a tour for them. So this would update to tour booked. And let's say, they come in for for the tour and you're not, or let's say you want them, but you have to put them on the waiting list. You could just click this and turn it into the waiting list. It'll basically, one click to switch it from tour book to waiting list. And then they would automatically get the waiting list email. It's pre-written. It'll personalize to them, but you don't have to manually write all the emails and send them manually. You want the system, ultimately you should just have to go in, click here, or click there, and that's it. That's the way marketing automation and workflow automation works when it's set up properly. So again, it's all about reducing the hours in your day from all the busy work, all the paper processes, and the manual management of every different step, so that you can just go in and click when you need to, and that they're going to get the right message for the right parent, written in the right way at that stage of the enrollment process. And again, you can change these anytime. You can test different versions of the messages, see which one you like better. But ultimately, once it's set up, and I'm not going to, there's some work to get these things set up. It's not the simplest thing in the world, but it's a really good investment of your time. If you can set up something like this, then what you've got is incredible margin in your day now to focus on, well, whatever you want to do. Call a donor, go to the spa, take a longer lunch, whatever, the idea is time. And then you also want to make sure that it's tracking every step of the way. Pardon me. So, with those different workflows, now this is the type of information that helps you over time. So let's say you've been running the system for a year or even a few months. It's going to give you some helpful information as to how each stage in the process is actually performing. And then you can take a look at that and you can say, whoa, wow, it looks like we could, do a little better at moving parents from the inquiry process to the application form. Like, why are there so few application forms coming in? Then you can look at that and you know what to work on. Maybe it's the way the email's written. Maybe uh, maybe I don't know, maybe you forgot to call somebody, and your email's broken and you're not getting the notification from the system. It's like, then you can actually go and fix something. You want to know, you want some diagnostics to know what's working, what's not working, so that you can keep things running efficiently. So yeah, so basically at this point, I'd love to ask you guys, what you think about all of this. Um, I'm not exactly sure why y'all showed up here today, but here are my guesses. You want to be able to keep your school enrolled to capacity, at least maybe not to capacity, but to the ideal, enrollment goals for your school at this time. You want to have a waiting list that's always staying at a consistent size. Remember, that waiting list will shrink over time. You want to keep filling up not just enrollment, but you want to keep that waiting list up to date. And you want people continuously coming into that waiting list. You want to have enough inquiries coming in month after month so that you're not afraid to turn away parents that aren't really the best fit for your school. And that's so important, because that's when we get into problems, when we don't have the enrollment numbers we need, your back is up against the wall, and you take that parent that you weren't so sure about, and then they can cause problems. And when they leave, they can take some other families with them sometimes. And then you want to free up your time from the boring, repetitive, busy work, like sorting through sheets of paper or copying things from hard to read handwriting into 10 different digital systems or spreadsheets. It's really time consuming, so if you can remove all of that time, you can spend more time in the classroom, having more conversations with your donors and or just being able to have more time in your day, more margin, so you can focus on programming. How about that? And that you're capable of doing more, and you just need to get some roadblocks out of your way. Roadblocks being all this busy work stuff. And you want to give your prospective parents a communication experience that's engaging and informative, and it makes them look forward to enrolling their child in your school. There's two ways you could approach this. You've shown up, you've made it obviously a priority to learn something. I hope you've taken some notes and gotten something from it. And maybe you're excited about making these changes. And I want you to know that, this type of system can really change your school. It can change your life, to be honest. If you spend a lot of time managing these things and you can free it up, think about what that would do for you. So you have to know, at the same time, you do have to know how to attack the problem. What exactly to do at your school specifically, because every school is a little different, right? Like every school's got different team members with different skills. What are the communication expectations of the parents in your area? Do you live in Palo Alto or do you live in Utah, right? You're going to have two different sort of demographics there. What tools do you already know how to use? Can you use those more effectively? Can you make them more efficient? Or do you need to switch to another tool or find something that'll actually suit your needs better? So I'd now like to take a moment of your time. This will actually be the first first offer of one of Hubley's services. Now that we've kind of done the background theory, what I'm about to show you is not one of Hubley's software tools. Rather, this is a form of a consulting service which gives you an opportunity to gain an accurate assessment of your system, the effectiveness of your enrollment strategies. It's what we call the Parent Communication Report Card. So do I have your permission to take a few minutes of your time now to show you about this? Any takers? Christy says yes. Okay. And Sandra, well, I got two. Oh, okay. So I'll now move forward with that. So the Hubley Parent Communication Report Card is the fastest way to learn exactly what you can do to increase enrollment at your school. The report card is going to enable you to determine how your website's performing with regard to speed and security and the search engine optimization. We're going to help you understand if search engine optimization is even addressable for your school, if it's relevant for you, how you can significantly increase the number of inquiries of prospective families coming in, how you can attract more of the right fit families for your school. Again, using like the language and understanding how to speak Montessori values to people looking for it but don't necessarily know they're looking for a Montessori school, and how you can reduce the stress and the workload of managing an old school enrollment process, which can be incredibly time consuming. So what you get with this report is you get a 1 hour, it's a 1 hour live one-on-one assessment. And then after that assessment, we take it away and we work on it and we put together the report. So we do like a needs analysis. We ask you a lot of questions. We dig into what your processes are, how you're doing things, how your website's performing, what tools you're using. And so we gather all that information up. We get a really good sense of that. Then we take it away and we develop a report for you and we send it to you. And it has an actionable report with very specific strategies and tools for your school. There's an option as well. If you wanted to use the Hubly system, which is not required, but if you wanted to, we'll give you a 50% discount off the Hubly setup and the training to use Hubly, and we'll give you 1 free month off of the annual subscription. So again, that's just optional. The report is a standalone value, which can address a lot, and you'll be able to take that and use it with any other system as well. So the first deliverable is the website health report. Again, we're going to break down on the technical side and the design side of your site. How is it performing as far as enrollment marketing purposes go? Search engine optimization, can it be found? Is it secure? That type of thing. The second deliverable is an action list. So this will be based very customized to you regarding your website, where it's at, what it needs, how you can, as an example, use email newsletters better or automate things with them. We'll take a look at, if you're using Facebook, how you're using it and what you could do better with it, and also other things that you might be able to benefit from that you might not be using. And then we also give you this expense and revenue calculator. So this is where you get very, very clear on understanding what your current processes are costing you and how much additional profit the school could be making with small adjustments to everything. We're going to run through this calculator with you during the assessment because we need to ask you a lot of questions to fill it out. And this is really an ironclad business planning report that no school owner or partner or board could really argue with. So essentially, if you want to have an easy time getting people on board with making changes that you feel need to be made, this is something you definitely want to have in your back pocket. Not just what you're going to do, but what are the direct results going to be on the bottom line of the school. How is this going to help us be a better school and invest more in programming and reinvest in the school? So you might be wondering, what's the investment? How much is this going to cost? So that's what I'll get into next here. So what you get on a value level is the parent communication report card. We usually charge $498 for that. And the Hubly setup is usually $19.99. And then the Hubly enrollment marketing service, that's where we completely manage all of your campaigns. Like, we do the design, we manage the whole system, we build the whole automation system. Basically, we're like a marketing agency for you. That's $599 a month. So the total value of that is $3,096. Your investment today was actually just $97. This is a very, an offer just for the folks attending here in the webinar today. So the parent communication report card, we're reducing that from $97 to $97. And just remember, that's that's first an hour of our time with you one-on-one, and then we go and build that report for you. And that takes a few hours as well. So that's just $97 with this offer. And then if you want to, if you're interested in using Hubly, you'll get a 50% discount on the setup. So that's brings it down from $19.99 down to $9.99. And then if you want to use Hubly, for the full done for you top to bottom enrollment marketing service, you hand it to us. You don't even have to think about it. You're just going to hand it to us. You're going to get inquiries coming into the school. Then your first month will be reduced to $0. And so the total savings opportunity is $1,800, but all you have to do is spend $97 for that reduced fee. So you can get started. We can start getting you inquiries this month. You can get all that started just for $97. What I'm going to do as well is, so there's a website where you can go. I'm going to drop down an offer here that you can click on, and that'll allow you to go ahead and purchase the report. They'll be up for about 15 minutes. So again, that'll take you to the page to purchase a report for $97. You can also go to hubly.com/getreport, and you can also go there directly as well. And I also want to mention that we're actually offering a 100% money back guarantee on this report. So we're willing to spend the time with you and build a report and send it to you. And if you don't feel that you got value from it, you can just email our support line or call our support and just say, you know what, I want my money back, and we'll give it back, no questions asked. And on top of that, we'll refund an additional $25 for the time that you spent with us. The last thing we want to do is pull you away from your busy day and the important things you're doing. We're incredibly confident you're going to really get a lot of value from the report, learn a lot, and be able to make great changes from it. But if you don't feel the same, no questions asked. You don't have to tell me directly. You can just call or email our support team, and we'll refund it to you immediately. Again, no questions asked. So that's everything. And then as well, if you do purchase the report in the next 13 minutes now, you're going to get this bonus. That's how we get the free download of the ebook, Getting Started with Facebook Ads. This is a really it's got a lot of case studies. It's got examples of the surveys, and it'll give you a lot more ideas of the things you can do. Like I gave you some examples here in the webinar. This will give you even more examples. So you can really just take it and test it. Take the ideas that we offer you here. So if you purchase a report, you'll get that for free along with it, and then that can with the report that we're going to give you, that's just $97, and even with this free ebook, you're going to have a lot of stuff to actually work with on your own if you want to just invest the time to do it yourself, or if you might have a parent volunteer that knows how to use these tools really well but doesn't necessarily have a lot of experience with Montessori and enrollment marketing, you'll be able to hand this information to them, and it might just backfill whatever they so that they can kind of start from a good footing, and not have to waste a month or two testing things. So this will just get them off to the races. So that might be the right solution for you. But again, if you're interested in using Hubly and our services, we'll give you a 50% discount and everything. But today you can get quite a lot of value from us just for $97 for this report. So definitely something you might want to check on, try out. By the way, if there's any questions on this stuff, I'm right here for the next 10 minutes or so. I can answer any questions on anything that we spoke. I love, if you have any ideas or questions on any of the content we went over, please post them in the chat box. If you have any questions about how this report works or anything like that, please feel free to ask away. And so we're going to keep it up for about another 10 minutes. And if no questions come in, I'll just put on some background music. Might select something that my old band days. Let's see here. If I can cue it up. There we go.
Just live your life, live it free and be strong. This time you just can't lose. You better open up your
my old band from the early 2000s, Beyond Eden. I'm not singing, by the way. I'm on the drums.
Now, you can hear just what I'm saying. We live in a world that's full of need. We live in a life that's incomplete. What will be, so fight till you are free. See, society will say that this is for real.
So we're going to be here for another few minutes. See exactly how much we have. How much time do I have left here? 9 minutes. 9 minutes to go. So if there's any questions you have about any of the digital strategies we talked about, how to automate systems, what types of tools you can use, any questions you've had, you know, that have come in based off your own experience, would love to, you know. Oh, here we go. How do you sign up for your report? So, Sandra, there should be a button on the right side of the screen where you can click. It says purchase report now. Do you see that button there on the right side of the screen? If you don't, you can also just go to, let me just show it on the screen here, hubly.com/getreport. If you go to that web page, that will allow you to, I'm just going to confirm that web page is working. So if you go to hubly.com/getreport, you can sign up for the report right there as well. Let it take control. I said now move, yeah. Feel it to the music, get you hot, don't hold back. Let it take control. So feel free to, again, go to that chat box. Sandra, let me know if you find it, if you see the offer on the right side of the screen. If not, or if you see it anywhere, let me know. If you have any more questions about how to get the report, definitely walk you through that. If anybody else has any other questions, either about how the report works, how to get it, or anything that we talked about, anything that I discussed, happy to go deeper into.
The sun goes down, and just like everything, the day must end now. What will the night time bring? I'll watch the world unfold. I feel the pain of so many souls. Will tomorrow be kind or cold? All you dreamers keep believing, cause we are helpless without meaning. And now I've got to move and to do my thing.
Oh, I'm sorry the button's not showing up. So guys, if you want to get this report, go to hubly.com/getreport.
But you walk around this town like a clown. I said, now when you gonna bring yourself down? Look outside yourself, the time is now. Move, yeah. Feel it to the music, get you high, don't hold.
And I actually put the link to that page right at the top of the chat box. You can just click on it there.
Feel it till the music gets you high, don't hold back. I said let it take control, I said now move, yeah. Feel it till the music gets you high, don't hold back. I said let it take control, I said now move, yeah. I feel it till the music gets you high, don't hold back. I said let it take control, I said now move, yeah. Feel it till the music gets you high, don't hold back. Oh, now let it take control, I said now move, yeah. Feel it till the music gets you high, don't hold back. Let it take control.
So we're going to keep this going for about another 5 minutes. Is anybody else not seeing the parent communication report card offer that's should be posted on your screen, where you can click purchase report now? If no one else is seeing it, please let me know, just so I can complain to the webinar company we work with. But could just be an issue on Sandra's computer or something. Who knows? But if you don't see it and you want to get the report, it's hubley.com/getreport. And I did paste a link there at the top of the chat box, so you can click on that as well. And, you know, again, feel free. I invite you to ask me any questions that you have about any of the info I've gone over. Facebook ads, search engine optimization, landing page design, workflow automation, what type of things you can automate. You can automate more. The rule of thumb is, guys, you can automate almost everything. Pretty much everything except for your face-to-face meeting, where obviously that's the most important thing. Almost every step of the way can be automated, and you know, give parents a really strong sense of trust, and send, you know, even though a message might be automated, you know, something I talk to a lot of people about. When messages are automated, some people think like it loses that personal touch. But the cool thing is you can actually give even automated messages a personal touch, because even though a message goes out to a parent that might be automated, you can also add in, you know, a little paragraph into the email in the middle of it before it gets sent out to put any, you know, notes or specific instructions. But you don't even have to remember to do that, because the system will actually send you that form to add in your little message customization if it needs to be there, and then you click go, and then it goes off. But you didn't have to really do anything. Just a couple of clicks, type anything in there. So these systems can be simple, they can be more complex. Every school does it differently. It really comes down to, that's why we build them custom for everybody, because no one school is the same. Some schools are smaller, bigger. Sometimes a few different people handle admissions. Sometimes just one person does everything. There's no, you know, the general steps of an admissions process is pretty consistent from school to school, but it's all the little minor steps in between. Those are the things that are different. So that's why they really need to be customized. You need an automation, a workflow automation tool that gives you enough flexibility to accommodate any different scenario. Okay, let's see where we're at with this offer. We got 1 minute and 39 seconds. All right, guys, so it's just about to wrap up. I am so honored that you all joined me today. And I hope that the information I gave out was informative and useful. I really do try to give you examples that, you know, again, you know, take those examples and use them. There's no copyright on them. Of course, just write them for your school, not other schools, of course. So it's just general value propositions. Use the targeting strategies, the interest targeting, the demographics. Maybe the most important thing is that you've got the tracking set up so that you can know exactly how much you're spending per inquiry, so that you can do future planning. And if you want step-by-step instructions on how to make that happen, we can give that to you in the report. So again, you can go to hubley.com/getreport, and we'll give you those instructions on how to make sure you're tracking everything exactly as you need to. So we're going to wrap it up now. Thanks so much, everybody. It's been a pleasure. And this is John O'Landon from hubley.com signing off. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful summer.